My relationship with being hard of hearing has changed significantly in the last 2 years making this film. From development, I wasn't really sure who I was. And now, more than ever, I feel like I can be myself, not only in front of people who aren't hard of hearing or deaf, but now I have people behind me and with me that I can talk to about these things regularly.
So she hears the best, he's in the middle, and I'm the worst.
I'm single-sided deaf myself, or have a unilateral hearing loss.
I have 2 cochlear implants, so I was born completely deaf in both ears.
I have a severe to profound hearing loss, and I have lost my hearing 3 times throughout my life.
Hi, I'm Louie Landry, and I'm a professional visual artist. I was born deaf, so when I was raised early, so I found myself entertaining myself a lot, you know. So I could be in a family situation and everybody talking, and I'd be just not paying attention to them, just focus on what I'm doing, and I'm always doing artistic stuff. I've been classically trained as a painter, so a lot of things I take from the past masters and try and incorporate it into a more contemporary way. I have experimented with textures on my abstract painting, and I try to bring in some textures into my figurative painting, but by use of paint sticks, you know, which is oil bar type of paint. That gives me a waxy texture. I've always loved Leonardo da Vinci, and I think I feel a little more connected with him in the sense that he had a deaf assistant in his studio when he was working on The Last Supper. And he learned how to sign because the deaf assistant family would invite him over for dinner, and he learned how to sign because he was watching, you know, how the family communicated with each other. So I think that was one way of being inspired by him. Contemporary-wise, I think I'm inspired by Jenny Saville. And her figurative work is just mind-blowing. Part of my job as an artist is to be visual, to pay attention to everything that's around me. It just means that I use my eyes more, read lips. I could be in a coffee shop, and I'd be sitting down, and I'd be people watching. And I found myself thinking about how I would draw or paint that person. Yeah. What colours would I use to get the skin tone, you know, that sort of thing. I take photographs of myself signing somewhere. So, for example, I'm signing France, and I would take photographs of me going France, and then I work in photographs to get these movements and play with the transparency, you know, so that you see the movement, and then I would create an underpainting, which is using just one color, and I add on and subtract them. So, what I have here. So this is the underpainting, and you know, just add on and then subtract where I want light to come through, and add on where I want the darkness. And then once I'm finished that, I let that dry. And then I start mixing up the colours. And I have a very specific palette. So like I would have white, cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, cadmium red, crimson, ultramarine blue, and phthalo green. and then I might add some colors to it, depending on what the subject is. One of my series, Deafies, is the portrait of deaf friends and people that I've never met before. And what I've done was I invite them to my studio, have them pose and take photos and photos of them saying their favorite words and stuff like that. And then I kind of experiment with it in Photoshop, trying to figure out the placement of a hand, movement of a hand, and then the expressive hand. It's just part of the expressive hand skills. And it's basically me starting with. So for example, I had family, I had music, I had happy, and expressive stuff. So I've done all those, and I throw all of them except for one. And I'm just working on this one now because for me it takes time to come because I have a very specific, it has to be in this size, in this format, and I only want this part, I don't want my face in it. So I've had to restrict certain time to it because there's sometimes that involves the whole face. For the past couple of years, I've been working on corporealism, which is about the body, because I'm a female, middle-aged, queer, woman. So that's also my identity. I'm not just a deaf artist. I'm a female artist. I'm a queer artist. So I've been focusing on the body, and I don't like my body very much. So it's been trying to get past that. I've accepted myself as a deaf person. Now, I accept myself as a middle-aged woman. When mentally I'm still thinking that I'm in my 30s. I'm not in my 30s anymore. So it's all a process. And I've made 36 by 36, 24 by 24 bodies where and they all have my hands in them. So the hand is my motif. You will probably never see a painting without a hand. So, and for the bodies, it was more like how I hide myself and how I reveal myself.
My name is Kelsey, and I am an artist, a painter, installation artist, and a mother. And I focus mainly my practice on interpreting my experiences, losing my hearing and becoming deaf, and learning about deaf culture. So my work is my exploration and interpretation of my deaf experience, and what I am focusing on is the hearing loss that I had and that journey towards becoming a deaf person, embracing deaf identity and deaf culture. When I lost my hearing, I lost connection and belonging, and I think a large part of that is because I didn't have a way to communicate through sign. Returning to my art, I was able to focus on another way of communicating and another language through my work, through my gestures, and through the mark making I was doing. This question of the absence of something, how does that translate into something that could be really beautiful? And how do you convey that emotion through your body and through your gestures? Large and gestural, I use mylar, which is a transparent paper that you can allow light to diffuse through. With the long rolls of mylar, I'm using oil paint, and as well as charcoal and pencil to use those gestural marks. The shift from mylar to canvas has been happening naturally as I want to push my boundaries, but my main practice is with layers of paper and mylar to build up the image. The use of color is often calm and muted to reference this isolation and opposite of what tinnitus is. So it's out of necessity that I have to use colors that make me feel calm. A lot of the work I'm doing is intuitive, and so I'm choosing these colors intuitively for what I need in that day while I'm painting. I often have little sketches and little thumbnails of ideas I'm working through or different gestural compositions. So I am working with my body and the movement. So the planning happens as I'm going, and one mark will dictate what the next mark is. The work on paper, the work on mylar, those pieces are a continuation of each other. They're a natural progression of, I've completed this idea, let's push that idea further into the next. And the canvas is what is starting to almost like clear out my mind and clear out my movements before I can work on my mylar pieces. And those are the pieces where I want to have a more refined mark making. In my mind, sometimes they are a little bit of a separate piece of body of work between the two, but they are all stemming from the same place, from the same emotions, from the same drive to understand how we are sitting in between in two different worlds, the deaf world and the hearing world, but also being in those worlds as well. My installation work is a further exploration of this idea of how do we be in a sense, and how can I translate something that can feel so frustrating into something more beautiful. And so with the mirrors, I am breaking them in an act of frustration, and also a way to convey the tinnitus, the isolation, the feeling of in-between, those frustrations in deaf culture, to turn them, all of these layered mirrors, into a different pattern that light can be reflected upon and created into something that looks quite beautiful. And taking this idea of light and how we can shift it and shape it to be one thing and then change to be another thing. It's that similar idea of shifting between and being in between different cultures. There have been too many losses in the community of human life, and there is this feeling of being alone and this disconnection, but it doesn't have to be that way. So I really hope with this film that those people who do feel alone and isolated can have this sense of belonging. There's many people around the world that feel the same way, and this film has been important in terms of reflection on my process and reflection on my art, to validate that the way that I'm going is with my process and my research is important, and I'm not so alone in this work. It's this feeling of collective belonging is just naturally a theme. And when I'm working alone in my studio, I can remember and look back to this process and not question what I'm doing so much. Like this, it has purpose, and there is a purpose to sharing about hearing loss, deafness, and hopefully it will reach someone who needs to hear it.
I was a child with a mother who's deaf. Can you tell me what's left when you can't hear what's next? I was a girl with the weight of the world. I did more than I should, 'cause no one else could. My mom can't hear, but she sure sees all of me, always. And it breaks my heart when she's not seen. It's not so hard not to be mean. We don't need words, we all feel vibes. Impatience hurts, so take your time. My mom can't hear, but she sure sees all of me, always.
Joseph, man, get a bit more of that twang on that guitar, would you? Dana, turn up that kick drum, man, I can't hear it. Matt, feel it.